Top tonight, that breaking news tonight, the showdown in a local county between it and the state.
Gaston County commissioners boldly tried to defy the governor's stay-at-home order starting right now at 5 o'clock. But what they are calling the Gaston Promise might not be so easy. They wanted to reopen businesses and houses of worship in Gaston County, but that directly contradicts the governor's order. Mecklenburg County had even stricter rules for businesses, but it is now loosening those to be more in line with the state. Gaston County cites the economic fallout.
We believe a continued stay-at-home order in Gaston County will have disastrous effects.
Our Gaston County reporter Ken Lemon is joining us now live. Ken, I know that you were on there asking every question during the news conference this morning when we carried it live here on Channel 9. But now that we have questions over whether Gaston County can legally do this.
Yeah, and you talk about your mixed messages here. I want to take you through this stuff in this entire day, talking about lots of changes throughout the day to show you how everything went from that first refusal to follow those state orders to an awkward situation, and from that awkward situation where the county is now on a backtrack on everything, starting with this morning. This is that moment the Gaston County Commissioner, Chair of the Board of Commissioners, Tracy Philbeck, signed an order saying that Gaston County was open for business. The order said restaurants, movie theaters, sporting venues, and churches would reopen as of right now, 5 o'clock tonight, as long as they follow strict social distancing guidelines, despite the fact that the governor's order doesn't lapse until next week. Now, it was something I immediately questioned. What do? Do you obey the order of Gaston County, or do you obey the state's order?
I think you've seen from the very beginning Gaston County's response to our own order before anything was in place was that we would work with citizens to self-police. I think what you will find throughout Gaston County as we go forward is that our law enforcement will continue to work with citizens to self-police.
Now, that was where everything was as of this morning, defying the state. That got messy for them. We heard from the district attorney saying that this has put police in a bad situation. The Gaston County police, who said that they would follow the state, and the
going to support
application saying that Gaston County is still under the jurisdiction of the state's order. But despite all of that, Commissioner Tracy Philbeck isn't backing down. He held a town hall just 30 minutes ago.
Your commissioners would stand with you no matter where your business is in opening. That doesn't mean the governor wouldn't have the state police arrest you. I can't stop that. That doesn't mean that there wouldn't be a consequence. But here's what I would do. Let me know, and I'll be the first one arrested.
So still defiance, Erica. As of right now, though, the state is still under that stay-at-home order that includes Gaston County. I had one business owner actually drive by asking me what he should do, and I informed him just that, no matter what commissioners tried to pull off here earlier today. Erica.
Well, I know that you also talked to some families, and they are giving you some mixed reactions to all of this.
Yeah, they are. They're concerned about the spread of this virus. One woman called me right after the Board of Commissioners held that presser and that signing earlier today, saying she thought this was too early. That's part of a story I'm working on. I'll have for you later on tonight at 6 o'clock.
All right, Ken, a lot to take in. Thank you.
Now I want to bring in Channel 9's Mark Becker with a different but similar side to this story tonight. Mark, Mecklenburg County is loosening some of its rules. So tell us what people can do tomorrow that they couldn't do today.
Well, for one thing, Scott, at least in theory, they should be able to come to parks and greenways like this one in South Charlotte and find the parking lots open. They've been closed for several weeks now. This is part of the change that will come now that the county has stepped back from their stay-at-home order. They're also going to allow more social gatherings outside, like in parks like this, and for that matter, protests as well. And we heard from police today who said they're going to have to make some adjustments along the way.
We give you information, please.
Daniel Parks and a handful of members of his Cities for Life ministry were scattered out in front of a women's clinic in southeast Charlotte this afternoon, being careful to demonstrate that they know the rules.
We got marks on the pavement there. You can see them down there, our 6-foot social distance marks, so we can see that we're 6 feet apart and try to keep that in our mind.
It's the same women's clinic where earlier this month police had arrested 8 protesters and cited almost a dozen more for violating the county's stay-at-home order. Arrests that police now say probably wouldn't happen under the state's stay-at-home guidelines.
And here, as we stand today, outdoor protests are permitted. And
Deputy Chief Jeff Estes says they're having to adapt on the fly to the state's guidelines, which allow for more public gathering outdoors than the counties did, in places like parks and on sidewalks, as long as people keep their social distance.
we don't have a playbook to go by. And what we can do is use our best judgment based on what the governor's orders or the county proclamations are to try to enforce that in a reasonable manner.
And Daniel Parks and his team will be out too, he says, following the rules.
It won't change anything for us. Yeah. We'll still be here, by God's grace.
And there may be people in this parking lot tomorrow. We spoke with a park ranger a few minutes ago who said it may or may not be open depending on his schedule and the schedule of the people who work here. But certainly a step back, Scott, toward what we used to call normal, right?
I'll take it, Mark. I know that we will be monitoring all of it in the days to come. Thank you. Meantime, Cabarrus County is now following Mecklenburg County's lead and letting its own stay-at-home order expire. Again, this is to become more in line with the state order.
And several other states have taken steps to start to reopen as well. Alabama's stay-at-home order will expire tomorrow. Georgia has already let everything from bowling alleys to movie theaters open back up. In Tennessee, retail stores can reopen today, and restaurants have been allowed to open up as of Monday this week. A week ago, South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster decided to let a lot of businesses reopen as well. Coming up at 6, we're going to circle back to find out why many are choosing not yet to do that.
Now I want to take a moment to make sure that you are prepared for storms set to hit us within hours. Our chief meteorologist, Steve Udelson, has been tracking this line moving our way, and now he's here in the studio pinpointing when it might hit your neighborhood. Steve?
Yeah, Erica, here's the setup. Just cloudy skies uptown right now. We've got a little ribbon of light rain now falling from Hickory to Lincolnton back toward Gaffney. That's sliding north and east. It's just light rain, but a sign of things are starting to change. The main line of storms is along I-81 in central Tennessee, Knoxville to Cleveland. That is what's working its way to the east, and that's what I'm most concerned about later on tonight. Have you been outside today? You've felt the gusty wind. We're going to talk a little bit later about the direction of the wind and why that's important to the severe weather risk. But it's gusted over 30 miles an hour, boosting temperatures in the 70s. Those are ingredients that are going to bring us some heavy rain and the possibility of damaging winds. That is far and away going to be the greatest threat. Let's talk timing. In the mountains, we're already starting to see some rain, but that main line arrives between 8 and 11 o'clock this evening. In and around the Charlotte area, about the time most folks are heading into bed, between 10 and 2 a.m. And as you work your way south and east of town, last to see those showers and storms arrive between 1 and 4 a.m. Bottom line, before you go to bed, make sure you've got our downloaded app on your phone, set the severe weather alerts, and make sure your phone is fully charged, Erica.
Thank you, Steve. Well, tonight nearly 100 more people are in the hospital in North Carolina fighting the virus. 551 people are in the hospital across the state. 118,000 tests have been done. 9,948 of those coming back positive. There are half as many positive cases in South Carolina right now, just over 5,700, and there have been just over 53,000 tests done in South Carolina as of tonight. Well, tonight we want to show you Marjorie Fuller Garvin. She was 96 years old and one of the latest vulnerable residents to die in a Salisbury nursing home that now has 150 cases. Last week, Channel 9 reported the first lawsuit had been filed against the Citadel in Salisbury, and it was filed on behalf of Marjorie Fuller Garvin.
And tonight there is yet another major lawsuit against that same facility. The numbers from the facility are growing. As of today, 144 residents have tested positive and 17 people have died. Channel 9's Tina Terry has been sifting through the new lawsuit and how it aims to help people who still live there.
Yeah, attorneys here who filed that lawsuit are asking a judge to step in and help prevent the spread of this virus. COVID-19 cases inside the Citadel Salisbury up nearly 40% since just last week. Now attorneys at Wallace & Graham stepping in with this lawsuit on behalf of residents, their families, even employees.
We felt like it would be very important to have a court come in, put this facility under a magnifying glass essentially to make sure that the laws and the regulations were being complied with.
The lawsuit seeks injunctive relief, asking the court conduct a hearing regarding the current conditions and circumstances at the Citadel. Conditions some families say they deserve to know about.
I'm hoping by this lawsuit coming about that it's going to make a change at the facility. I would like to see more transparency, and I feel like they need to be held accountable.
Melissa Steyerwalt's 71-year-old father lives at the Citadel. She signed an affidavit saying workers here have failed to answer calls or provide information about the virus. In another affidavit, Ronald Barber reveals his great-aunt, Dorothy Cleveland, died of COVID-19. Weeks ago, we told you she passed away inside the facility, and no one here called to tell him. His sworn affidavit in the lawsuit says it wasn't until about April 22nd, when the funeral home received the death certificate, that I first learned of her testing positive for COVID-19 and that she had tested positive at least 3 days prior to her death. COVID-19 was listed as the cause of death. Tonight, a spokesperson for the owner of this Citadel told me that she has not seen this lawsuit, but she says the facility has been doing everything in lockstep with the CDC, local health officials, and local hospitals in order to keep residents safe. Back to you.
Thank you, Tina. A Charlotte medical practice will take a step toward normalcy on Monday by reopening for regular visits. Charlotte Eye, Ear, Nose and Throat says it will thoroughly clean rooms and check the temperatures of all patients, family members and staff before they enter a building. Patients and visitors will have to wear masks before they go inside, and patients can only bring one person with them to their appointment.